What's good, YouTube? It's your main man, AB the Hero, back again with another video. Today's video, we're going to prove that body language does not lie by watching some clips from LeBron James to see if he's capping or if he's just straight up a psychic. Let's get into it.
Triple B's! AB the Hero, back at it, baby.
Recently in the news, there's been these compilations of LeBron James probably not being the most honest as he could be. And it went viral, and even LeBron has started making fun of it. But what I want to do on today's video is take a look at these clips and see, is LeBron James capping, or maybe he just legitimately is psychic? Now, before we do this, there's a few things that we need to set the table with, right? What we're going to do is watch a few clips from LeBron James from some different post-game press conferences just to get a baseline of you know, how he normally is when he's communicating, right? We know that nonverbal communication probably makes up about 90% of the things that we communicate with each other when we're in person with each other, right? If you have kids, work with kids, you can vouch for that, because you can damn near tell when they telling you the truth just by how they be looking at you. Now, a few things. What I want us to do is, in these videos, we're going to be looking for clusters of activity, right? So a lot of times you think that you can just spot one thing and it's like, oh, that was off, you're lying, and I don't want to even say lying, I'm gonna say be deceptive, because sometimes what we know is that you might have a behavior that presents as deceptive, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're lying, right? You may be withholding information, you may know more than you're letting on, but you're not actually lying at the moment. So we want to take that into account. And because of this, you want to look for clusters of nonverbal movements or communication, right? So we just don't want to say, oh, look at, he broke eye contact, that's what that was. We want to establish a baseline. So we're going to watch a few different videos. We want to look at how he looks as they're asking him questions. We want to look at his response time. So they ask the question, how long does it take you to answer? When you're thinking of things, which way are you looking? All of these different things. We'll get into it. Let's break it down. All right. This is our first clip. I picked this one here because you get to see a range of emotions from LeBron James and a range of different nonverbal cues from him. Let's go.
Kind of taken away from us. Simple as that.
Mark, last question.
LeBron, Mark Schwartz.
So first things first, you can look at this right here, this face. We started here with him talking, and the first thing that he does is pinch his lips together. Typically, when you see somebody pinching their lips together like that, you can tell that there's something that they want to say, but they're not going to say it. I want to say it. I should say it, but I'm not. And I'm physically pinching my mouth closed to hold this information in that I have. So let's continue.
It's ESPN. From listening to everybody's reaction to the play at the end with JR getting the rebound, there's still confusion about whether JR thought the game was tied or whether he thought you guys were ahead. From where you stood on the court and from talking to him after the play, what's your reaction to it? What's your version?
What do you mean, what's my version?
Well, did he think that the game was tied, or did he think that...
So this is tough because we don't get to see LeBron as he's hearing this, right? But we also know that he's pretty frustrated. So it would be nice to see if his level of frustration changes as he's hearing this question. But let's see.
You guys had it salted away.
How do I know that?
So you saw right away, you got your first gesture, right? How do I know that? You see him do that. He's looking eye contact directly at the guy. How do I know that?
Or did you discuss it at all with him at the end of the play?
No. They asked me if I talked to JR about it. I said no already. I knew it was a tie game. We was down one. George Hill went up. He made the first one. We got the offensive rebound. You know, I thought we were all aware of what was going on. That's my view. So I don't know what JR was thinking. I don't know the question you're trying to ask.
So now here's a few things that I pick up on right here. And this is why this is important. So what you have him doing is recalling information, right? And that's what we want to look at with this clip is him recalling information. So as he's doing that,
That it salted away.
How do I know that?
Or did you discuss it at all with him at the end of the play?
No, they asked me if I talked to Jay.
so he says, they asked me if I talked to
I said no
JR
already.
about it. Eye contact straight
It was a
on.
tie game. We was down one. George Hill went up. He made the first one. We got the offensive rebound. You know, I thought we were all aware of what was going on. That's my view.
So what I see here is now he's recapping the thing. So he says, they asked me this. This is what I said. Then this is what happened in the game. This is interesting because remember we talked about eye contact, right? And how there's technically two schools of thought that I would say when it comes to eye contact. On the basic level, most people will tell you that if you have good eye contact, then you're typically being truthful, right? And so we said earlier, 30 to 60% is pretty solid eye contact. In this clip here, in this segment, you see LeBron not breaking eye contact with this guy the full time. So you could say, oh, but wait a minute, maybe you're being deceptive. However, and you have to think about the context of what's happening in this moment. And so one of the things that you get when you have people expressing too much eye contact is typically it's a sign of I'm establishing dominance. And so LeBron James right now, by just staring daggers at this reporter as he's answering this question, is not necessarily being deceptive, but what he's doing is being extra confident right now. Like I am challenging you in this moment. Here is what happened. Why do you keep asking me that? And so when we look at the beginning, the pursed lips, the pinched lips, and then now you start to see this, what you can tell from this situation is things are actually escalating, right? And so this is why this is a good clip to watch, because you get to see LeBron James in this moment. Now, when we get down the line, you'll see him recall information in the similar fashion, but with a completely different nonverbal communication style.
I don't know what JR was thinking. I don't know the question you were trying to ask.
I was just trying to see if you knew exactly what his state of mind was. Did he think that you guys had it won, or did he think he was trying to make a play? Not sure.
What do you mean I'm not sure?
Here's something that's interesting here. Get this. When your nonverbals and your verbals match up, that's also a sign of truthful. So listen.
Not sure.
No.
What do you mean I'm not sure? No, I don't know his state of mind.
Here's something as well to look at, and I'm not going to stop it too much, but we talk about the frustration, right? So we also know we can tell that at this point there's a bit of a smirk on his face, right, where he is kind of in this sarcastic thing, but you still see it's a frown at the end of it. So while there's a little smile, there's still not an actual smile, still a frown there.
Did you know if he knew the score?
And then so we get to that point where it finally escalates to where LeBron just walks off. So to me, this is a good starter clip because what it allows us to see is that we have some idea and ability to read LeBron James from his nonverbal stuff, right? We were able to tell his heightened sense of anxiety or emotions in this clip from when they started. And then you look at the way that it ended with him basically in the most chillest way possible, storming off.
LeBron, taking the big picture, how have you tried to navigate this early season with both the results and the different injuries you had?
So here we go, right? We have our first sign of what I would call, or what you call paralinguistics. So when you hear somebody go, make these auditory sounds that are not necessarily words, those are paralinguistics. So we get this sense of LeBron James, they ask him the question, and then you hear him pause for a second, and then respond. So earlier we talked about listening to see how fast he answers questions, and being able to catch that baseline and then use that. So let's go back
Results
here.
and the different injuries you had.
I've been fine. I've missed one game.
So now here's where I think that we start to get a better sense of the deception that we might be able to see from a LeBron. Now watch this.
I've been fine. I've missed one game.
Earlier, we talked about your nonverbals and your verbals matching up. So if somebody says to you, I've been fine, right? Typically, just from context, when people say, I'm fine, we know that there's a possibility that you're not fine. So when you say, I've been fine, that is a sign that you probably have not been fine. But you get to watch two really important things happen here.
I've been fine. I've missed one game.
You get, I've been fine, looking off to the right. That's important. And then you get a direct look at the person, I've missed one game. So when we talk about truthfulness and eye contact, you get the truthfulness from the I missed one game, which is probably true, but then you get the look off, and which is probably false. Also, here's something else to note. Eye contact and accessing information or breaking eye contact is normal, right? You don't expect people to stare at you the entire time that they're doing that. And one of the main reasons why people who are being truthful are breaking eye contact with you is to access information. Right. So I'm trying to remember what happened. I'm trying to think about what's going on. And so science says that your brain obviously has two different hemispheres, and you access those things, each side of the brain, for different things. The ideal is that when somebody's looking off to the left, then that is them accessing information, right? I'm trying to pull from memories and thoughts that I've had to then give you information. When somebody looks off to the right, that's them editing and fabricating a story in their head, right? So you might get, I'm accessing some information because I want to tell you the story, or you get me trying to figure out some shit to tell you. So here's a good cue for us to establish if LeBron James follows that basic level of nonverbal communication by this thing that he's saying here of, I've been fine, looking off to the right and then coming back up.
I've been fine. I've missed one game.
All right. So I've been fine. I missed one game. That was staring off to the right, and then comes back to make eye contact with the person he's talking to. Now let's continue to see if we see those things be consistent.
I've been fine. I don't, guys, I like I've sat out every game this season or something. I've missed one game, and to be completely honest, if it was a playoff game, I probably would have played, even though, you know, my foot was acting up, but I played every game. So, and I'm gonna go around treatment for 24 hours, and
all right. So we get to hear him say, if I was completely honest.
To be completely honest,
and this is another one of those things when, if you say real talk, I probably don't trust you. When you get this, if I'm being completely honest, right, that's somebody who's typically trying to convince you of something, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean that he's not going to be completely honest with this next statement. However, it might mean that I want you to believe the things that I'm saying to you right now. So let me be completely honest with you.
Or something. I missed one game, and to be completely honest, if it was,
right, when we talk about fabricating and editing, look where the gaze is at before he says completely honest.
To be completely honest, if it was a playoff game, I probably would have played, even though, you know, my foot was acting up, but I played every game. So
all of that, straight eye contact. If it was a playoff game, I probably would have played, even though my foot was acting up. Right.
And I'm gonna go around treatment for 24 hours and the day on Friday, and hopefully I'll be in the lineup. So it's not an issue.
Ron, you guys have a 4-game homestand.
Here's something that's big here. All right. If you go back to, and we can look at this.
Yeah, like I've said out
Right.
every game this season or something.
We can mute this clip, and then you can just watch his body language. And you start to see, right, pretty still. You get hand here. You get not a ton of gestures that mimic the things that he's saying, right? But you get a lot of shoulder movement and all of that stuff. Now, you finally get him to stop talking, and the question is over. You get a bit of relaxation, and then you get your first, what they call a personal gesture, right? Personal gestures oftentimes are done when you're trying to soothe yourself, right? There's some anxiety, some anxiousness happening in the moment. So let me calm myself down. Let me rub my hands together. Let me do these things. So you see a lot of that talking from him, and then you hear this next question come in, and then you get this kind of resetting for him as he begins to then get to the next one. Now, let's go here. Here's one more clip.
We ran him the first possession. We ran him down.
All right.
We ran him the first. We ran him.
This is a clip that I put in here because I think it shows this access of photographic memory that LeBron James has, right? And so what we'll see is in the last clip when we said people look to the right when they're editing and fabricating, and then they look to the left when they're accessing information, we get to see this thing that we all have heard LeBron James has in this disability in photographic memory. So we get to see where he's pulling that memories from and where he's accessing that information.
We ran him down all the way to 2 on the shot clock. Marcus Morris missed a jump shot, followed it up. They got a dunk. We came back down. We ran a set for Jordan Clarkson, and he came off and missed it. They rebounded it. And we came back on the defensive end, and we got a stop. They took it out on the sideline. Jason Tatum took the ball, threw it to Marcus Smart in the short corner. He made a 3. We come back down, missed another shot. And then Tatum came down and went 94 feet, did a Euro step, and made a right-hand layup timeout.
So you get, where do you see him looking that entire time? To the left. Accessing information, pulling that, giving you a play-by-play of account of what's going on, what he's seeing at that moment, and then every now and again he's looking this way. You never get him coming over this way to put that thought process together. All of the information he's coming is him accessing that information from down from the left.
There you go.
Last question.
And then you get to see him once the lady, you could tell where she's at, because oftentimes he's also looking up at her as he's giving you that stuff, right? But now, this is a good one here because you have a reporter in the back on the right side of the room.
Not your first rodeo. Down 1-0. What's your level of concern at this stage?
I have 0 level of concern at this stage. I didn't go to college.
So once again, you get him thinking and accessing information. I have 0 level of concern at this stage, right? It's all down to the left. Even though the reporter's on the right side of the room, he comes here, gets information, and then looks back that way.
So it's not March Madness. You get better throughout the series. You see ways you can get better throughout the series, but
you see a little bit more hand gesturing in this clip as well, which all leans to truthfulness.
I've been down 0-1. I've been down 0-2. I've been down before in the postseason.
Simply because now you could hand gesture and all that stuff and be very deceptive, but when the things that you're saying and the things that you're doing with your body line up, right? So as he begins to count these numbers out and hand here, those are all signs of positive or truthfulness.
But for me, there's never no level of concern, no matter how bad I played tonight with 7 turnovers, how inefficient I was shooting the ball. just as confident going into a series, no matter if it's a 0-0 series or I'm down 0-1. So we have another opportunity to be better as a ball club coming in Tuesday night. And
all right, let's go. Here's the last clip. Now, this is another one of, this is the more positive clip. So one of the things that you'll notice if you go look up at a lot of LeBron James clips is that a lot of the post-game press conferences that you see from him are him in losing situations, right? Those are some of the most notable moments or bites come from. However, this one is after a W.
Cleveland, for the state of Ohio, where you grew up.
Absolutely. You know, just knowing what our city has been through, Northeast Ohio has been through as far as our sports and everything for the last 50-plus years. You can look back to the Ernest Biner fumble, Elway going 99 yards, to Jose Mason not being able to close out in the bottom of the ninth. So the Cavs going to the finals. I was on that team in 2007. I was getting swept, and then last year I was losing.
So you see, obviously this is an emotional moment, right? He's recounting his history, but you see the eye contact going from this left side again to the reporter, left side again to the reporter, left side again to the reporter.
And so many more stories. And our fans, they ride or die, no matter what's been going on, no matter, you know, the Browns, the Indians, the Cavs, and so on, and all the other sports teams, they continue to support us. And for us to be able to end this drought, our fans deserve it. They deserve it, and it was for them.
All right. So here's the funny thing. My man says our fans deserve it. It was for them. Now watch this clip.
For us to be able to end this drought, our fans deserve it. They deserve it, and it was for them.
Nah, that shit wasn't for y'all. It was for him. You feel me? That was a quick tell. Our fans deserve it. It was for them. Shit. That's what that looked like. Dirty motherfucker. Not dirty mother. I'm not saying he said that about y'all, but
TNT, LeBron asked you
our boy David Aldridge, skinny right
a couple
there.
of times about that, about the notion of what finally winning one would do for yourself and for the city of Cleveland, and also, and especially for Akron. And I just wonder, now that you've accomplished it, belief, is it excitement?
On it a lot the last couple of weeks, and you know, for me, I'm true to the game, and I know what I bring to the table, and I came back for a reason. I came back to bring a championship to our city.
All right, we'll need to see all that. Now, let's get into the video. So we've learned a lot about LeBron James from watching those clips here. So now what we're going to do is get into, this is the video where the compilation of him potentially being deceitful. Let's see if we see that.
Yeah, I had one coach, and he used to say, put yourself in situations where you're not comfortable.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite saying.
We can already tell there's a lot of cap there. It's hard to see. It's hard to tell. I don't want to say we can tell it's a lot of cap. However, here's something that we could point out is that we talked about the recalling of information and then where you look and all that stuff. Now, this room is different because we know that the guy who is saying it is obviously off to his left, but there's people surrounding him. So we either have to infer or decide if we think LeBron's looking off to the left as he says, that's my favorite saying. Either that's coming from the fabricating and editing side of his brain, or he's literally just trying to engage this other person in conversation.
Situations where you're not comfortable.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite saying.
However, what we can say is, again, is we listen to the time that it typically we saw LeBron take when responding to something, especially when he's being honest. And this right here,
where you're not comfortable.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite saying.
It's so quick. The dude damn near don't even give LeBron a chance to think about his favorite saying, right? His favorite saying somehow is top of mind in this moment.
That's my favorite saying.
Alex Haley. I don't.
And you get the.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite saying. That's my favorite saying.
Alex Haley.
I don't know. You get a lot of extra stuff, so it's hard to call.
I don't know how far you are into the book, but what's your biggest takeaway so far?
I kind of just started a couple days ago, but I've read and a lot of notes over the years. It's my first time actually reading it from start to finish.
So I think once again, right, we can look at the tale of once you start to think of like where you're accessing information from, if you've read a book and all of that jazz, there is a certain place that most of us go, right? I've heard it referred to before as the middle distance, right? You kind of look off for a second to you so you can pull back this information. It's so funny because LeBron James also is somebody with this like photographic memory. So what you would expect from somebody like that to be able to do is recall pages. So if you've read this book and you're accessing this photographic memory, right, you could recall a page and then technically read a line from said page is what we would expect him to do, right? You read it now, all right. Yeah. This is my favorite part. This is the thing that I learned. I remember when I read this thing. I remember where I was and all of that jazz. You don't get that from him here.
But just a very, very smart man. Very smart man. Watched the whole finish. And a lot of notes over the years. It's my first time actually reading it, but I've read and a lot of.
And this is what I mean too, right? So you would think like, in the essence of most of the time when it's acceptable to break eye contact for extended periods of time is when you're actually pulling information. And so for him in this moment, not really pulling much information, but also making very little eye contact. So if you watch this clip, you see that you get LeBron making eye contact probably 20% of the time, maybe.
I don't know how far you are into the book, but what's your
So he's looking at her,
biggest takeaway so far?
looks down.
I kind of just started a couple days ago.
But we don't get the definitive look off to the left. We would know that because that far left eye, we wouldn't be able to see it.
But I've read and a lot of notes over the years. It's my first time actually reading it.
Quick glance.
But just a very, very smart man. Very smart man. Watch the whole.
All right, so I don't know. To me, that seemed like a bit of cap.
Game.
Let's keep going.
I seen the whole game. I was at home watching the game, and I said he was going to before the game even started. When I seen, I said.
So that's what I'm saying. Like this is the part that we would want to see him on camera for, right? Is the where he's recalling hit that moment.
470 tonight. I don't know what made me say that. And my friends was with me, and they was like, okay. So when he got to like 70. I was like, well, he might as well go for 80 now. So, I mean, I'm a fan of the game. And to see that performance was unbelievable. I was like, well, he might as well go for 80 now. So, I mean, I'm a fan of the game. Yeah, I said he was probably, it was like, okay. So when he got to like 70, I was like, well, he might as well go for 80 now. So before the game even started, when I seen, watched, I said he was going to, before the game even started, when I seen, I said he was probably gonna score 70 tonight. I don't know what made me say that. And my friends was with me, and they was like, okay. So when he got to like 70, I was like, well, he might as well go for 80 now.
It's hard to call here. It's hard to call because we're not getting a ton of eye contact. We're not getting a definitive look off or look this way. What we are getting though is him kind of a much more like looking down, which to me speaks to a tad bit of deception, just on the fact of like, typically, right, when you're humbling yourself, kind of looking down is defiant. It's a little bit of embarrassment. It's a little bit of shame there. But it's hard to call. I wouldn't be able to say definitively like, yo, he definitely lying here, I think.
I mean, I'm a fan of the game. And to see that performance was unbelievable. I'm a fan of the
Except
game.
for,
And to see that performance
watch this.
was unbelievable.
So we get that now. That's not something solid that you want to see when you're being truthful. Is as soon as you finish it, you're like,
it is a question not related to the game, but since which is like more from the movie.
So this is him asking about the Godfather movie.
Godfather. It's too many different phrases and too many different lines in that movie to just categorize one.
But which is the one which inspires you, represents you more?
I mean, each movie is 9 hours long. I mean, what do you want me to do?
Represent.
So this is what I'm saying,
Which
right?
is the one which inspires you,
So you get a lot of this, like he's trying to come up with something,
represents you more.
but he not. So this is what I'm saying, where I think the funny thing about the truthfulness, and it's hard to call it from this clip, is the guy doesn't directly outright say, like, did you watch the Godfather movies? He's asking a question about them. So there's not really a thing to say, are you lying or not lying, because LeBron is not giving him an answer. So it's not like the other thing where it's like, is this your favorite quote from the Godfather movies? So it's hard to call if this is deception or not, just because he's not really being deceptive, but you could tell from the body language that there is some things happening here that LeBron is not comfortable with, which is why a lot of people call out this clip.
Each movie is 9 hours long. I mean, what do you want me to do?
But then you get the thing right when he's
Each movie is 9 hours long. I mean, what do you want me to do?
so then you see the eye contact come back as he start talking about that part.
I mean, there's so many. I don't know. I'll let you pick one, and I'll roll with it. It's a great trilogy.
All right, here we go. Now, here's the clip. And to me, I think it's funny because I feel like this part was him trying to, like, pay homage or say some cool things about the Migos and Takeoff and all of them. And maybe he misspoke. Maybe he thought it was 2010 and it was actually. So sometimes it's hard when you actually believe the things that you're saying and they could not be true. So let's see. And then so that's also part of what makes this thing interesting, because the thing about deception, and this is why we call it deception as opposed to lying, is because typically, like, you truthfully could be giving false information, but you actually believe that information to be true. So you're not being lying or you're not being deceptive in that moment because you and your body feels like that's 100% true. Now, you could also be in that moment feeling like, I believe this, but my shit could be off a little bit. And maybe that comes through as deception.
So long. I was just little guys when my first year with the Heat in 2010. You can ask any one of my teammates back then, had no idea what Migos was.
Right. So now,
You pick one.
here is where we might be on to some deception.
My first year with the Heat in 2010. You can ask any.
So now you get this definitive look off to the right where you're going to that side that we've noticed that LeBron goes to when he's fabricating or editing some things in his brain. And you hear my teammates back then would tell you X, Y, and Z. The lie detector says that might be deceptive.
They were like cursing me out when I would play it throughout the weight room, would play it throughout the locker room. I was like, I'm telling you, these guys are next. I'm letting you know right now. They're like, turn this off. I don't want to hear this. Just fast forward. I mean, just knowing, take off personally. And my condolences to Quavo and the family and the whole QC family and everybody. To Quan. Right now, they're like, turn this off. I don't want to hear this.
So you can see the shift from that, like I said, the right side to the left side in here as he then becomes more, you know what I mean, personal to him as the things that he's saying.
Just fast forward. I mean, just knowing, take off personally and send my condolences to Quavo and the family and the whole QC family and everybody.
I don't know. Hard to call it. But there we go. That's our breakdown on LeBron James. Y'all let me know. Do you think he capping, or do you think that he is a psychic and he really knew that Kobe was finna drop 71? You know what I'm saying? Maybe he knew that Migos was going to be popping before everybody else knew that they was going to be popping, because, you know what I mean? That's just what he does. So that's it, man. Like I said before, body language don't lie. Shemaine, man, AB the Hero. We getting up out of here. Peace.
Be the hero. No, not peace. Plus one, triple B's. We out.
There it is.